Hi everybody, this is Paul from the Dank Basement, your Uncle Squinty. You know, I keep learning and thank God I can correct errors that I make, even some that I've reported to you as being factual. But the more YouTube videos I watch from other snuff reviewers and the more I read and the more I talk to other snuff takers, the more I learn and I can sort of correct my own mistakes. So this is a short list of errors and the corrections thereto. First of all, my sniffing technique in most of my videos is not really all that correct. I tend to draw the snuff too hard. Now, you know your own nose as I know mine, and sometimes when my nose is a little cloggy, I have to take the snuff harder. I have to inhale or insufflate a little harder. But that's really not necessary. You're only trying to get the snuff to about here. So essentially the soft part, the lower part of your nose, that's where you want the snuff to reside. But as important, you want the snuff to coat the inside of that nasal cavity as best you can. And if you take a pinch and just put it right up to your nose and snort on it, it's not going to coat the inside of that nostril. So I've learned, thanks to demonstrations by Snuff Begins and others, really good video by Tim Gearing about this, Milverton 68. Tim, teaches you how to correctly sniff snuff. One of the things I'm doing now is I'm taking my pinch of snuff. I'm still running barefoot through my snuff, but more often than not, I'll powder it out on a thumbnail. And by the way, Tony Snuff talks about this too. Powder it out in my boxcar, and then just very gently take it and dust off the nose. Don't necessarily plug the other nostril. I don't plug the right nostril while I'm hitting the left and so on. Have to remember you're not using cocaine. You're trying to get the snuff to a place where your nose can truly appreciate the aromas and the scent of the snuff. And at the same time, it causes less burn, less pain. You're less likely to suck it into the back of your throat. Error number 2, just because it is a more coarsely ground or more moist snuff does not automatically make it a suitable beginner's snuff. Beginners will often find, I've learned, that the coarse, wet snuffs are almost as much of a challenge to take as the real dry, powdery snuffs. So for me to say, well, this snuff is coarse and moist, therefore is a good beginner snuff, that was an error. So I'm correcting that right now. Another error that I have made frequently is that all SPs have bergamot in them. That is not correct. It turns out to be the SP style, it's more a matter of grind and how the tobacco was cured and treated prior to being ground and cased and scented. So you can have an SP style snuff that does not have bergamot, and a case in point for that is Toke's Spanish Gem. Another mistake that I made in my reporting is that the color of the tobacco does not have anything to do with the nicotine level. That one I was half right. Some tobaccos, which are high in nicotine, will be lighter or darker than others. And if you know the kind of tobacco that was used, which most of us don't, then you might be able to tell the nicotine level by identifying the species or variety of tobacco that was used to make the snuff. And while we're on the subject of nicotine, I incorrectly stated that nicotine hits the same receptors in the brain as opium and opiates, and that menthol hits the same receptors as cocaine does. That is not correct. What I should have said is it hits the same class of receptors, but they are not identical, although for the sake of argument we can say that the effects psychologically are very similar, but they're not the same receptors. I keep learning, and one of the ways I keep learning is by watching YouTube videos from guys who actually know what the hell they're talking about, because sometimes obviously I just don't. And I'm learning all the time. I would like to send a special thank you to the young Ben, Snuff Begins, who has educated me a great deal. And also to Tony Snuff, believe it or not. Yeah, I know, I'm having a hard time believing it myself. But he's taught me a few things too. but also long-timers who have been here doing snuff reviews for 3-4 years. Guys like Tim Gearing, Milverton 68, Glenn Quelch, Glow, whatever his numbers are, Skell 18, Yorkshire Pipe and Snuff. There are a lot of really good snuff reviewers here on YouTube. Believe it or not, the good ones are not all British, but it doesn't hurt. From the dank basement, hoping to correct my errors and continue to learn, this is your Uncle Squiddy. Thanks for watching.